Bill Alonzo Vance Jr., and I'm glad to be here today representing the state as the Labor and Industry Chair. This is my first webinar that I've done as Labor and Industry Chair, and I'm feel blessed and very pleased to have with me a Ivy Tech executive, Mr. Stephen Bryant, and he is our guru at Ivy Tech Bloomington campus, and perhaps on other campuses, with regard to small business opportunities, how to go about operating your small business, how to go about starting it, some helpful tips on how to keep your business going, and some current information that you might need. He has it with regard to small business. So we're so glad to have with us Mr. Stephen Bryant. Thank you for being here, Steve.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
Praise the Lord. Mr. Carrington, after that introduction, can we go ahead and roll the video? And then after that, we will entertain questions. It's a pretty thorough video. So after that video has played, then we'll answer any questions that you might have, or Steve will.
Mr. William, I do not have a video.
You don't? Okay. No, then I'll need to do it then.
Yes, sir.
All right. I will do that. Thank you, sir. I will do that. I hope I'll do that. Okay. Hello, my name is Reverend William Alonzo Vance Jr. You call me Bill. I am here at Ivy Tech, and I'm talking with Mr. Steve Bryant, and I'm going to allow him to tell you what he does here at Ivy Tech. Mr. Bryant.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the invite. So I am Steve Bryant. I serve as the executive director for the Gail and Bill Cook Center for Entrepreneurship here at Ivy Tech. We're the entrepreneurship center for all of our students here at the Bloomington campus, and we work statewide to help Ivy Tech's entrepreneurship program thrive. We also host the regional office for the Indiana Small Business Development Center, which is Indiana's agency.
Mr. William?
Yes.
Has 10 regional
We cannot see the video.
You cannot see the video. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, it says your screen is sharing. Okay, it says my screen is sharing. It's not sharing?
We can see the your computer files, and we could hear it. It's playing, but we're not seeing the video part of it. You may have to restart the video part.
Okay. Let me go here. Okay, you see that? Okay, let me stop sharing.
Stop sharing and go back. That might do it.
Okay. All right. So we go here, start the video. I'll start the video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hello.
And then share.
If I can get to the share, I will do that. I am here at Ivy Tech. Okay. With Mr. Steve Bryant, and I'm going to allow him to tell you what he does here at Ivy Tech.
Bingo, you got it.
There we go.
Hello, my name is Reverend William Alonzo Vance Jr. You call me Bill. I am here at Ivy Tech, and I'm talking with Mr. Steve Bryant, and I'm going to allow him to tell you what he does here at Ivy Tech. Mr. Bryant.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the invite. So I am Steve Bryant. I serve as the executive director for the Gail and Bill Cook Center for Entrepreneurship here at Ivy Tech. We're the entrepreneurship center for all of our students here at the Bloomington campus, and we work statewide to help Ivy Tech's entrepreneurship program thrive. We also host the regional office for the Indiana Small Business Development Center, which is Indiana's agency up in Indianapolis, but has 10 regional offices. And what we do is we provide free assistance to anybody in the state of Indiana that wants to start a business or grow the one they got and keep them in business. So we're paid by the Small Business Administration. The state of Indiana matches that with some dollars, and we have some local support here, at least in Bloomington, from the city, Monroe County government, Indiana University Office of Engagement, and the Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association to help with businesses in the zone. So that's what pays us to help us, help people get started and keep the businesses thriving. And as you can imagine, COVID's been a pretty rough time for a lot of businesses around the state.
Yes. Well, you answered one question I had. Cash flow issues are a major culprit in failure of Black-owned businesses. And you told us of several funding opportunities that a business has. Could you go over those just one more time? The IU, Indiana.
Indiana University's Office of Engagement there, that kind of group does all the outreach from the college and university. Monroe County government provides us some support, so we help support small businesses in Monroe County, and the city of Bloomington also invests in what we do to help, because they obviously have a stake in keeping small businesses going in Bloomington, Indiana. So these are some of our local partners. You talked about grants and funding, so because of COVID, there's a lot of federal funds that have flowed either directly to organizations like ours or down through the state of Indiana that have provided grant funding or loan funding for businesses impacted by COVID. Most of those people know is that the Paycheck Protection Program, where they provided some support for lost revenue for expenses you had, payroll, rent, utilities, those kinds of things. Paycheck Protection Program right now is exhausted, but the Economic Industry Disaster Loan Program through the SBA, which is what normally happens when you have a hurricane or a tornado or a flood. They provide federal dollars for low interest loans primarily to help small businesses stay afloat and recoup losses. That program is still going. In fact, they just moved their cap from $500,000 to $2 million per business. You just have to show one at some point before COVID you were making money, and at some point during COVID, that's everything from March 2020 to now, you have been impacted by that. You have lost revenue, again, to pay your people because there's less employees, less customers because they couldn't get to you. Business is down from restaurants or retail, service businesses, and those were groups that are taking advantage of these low interest loans that they have. So for a nonprofit organization, that's about 2.75%, which is real cheap money. If the nonprofit has been impacted by COVID, and most have as well. And I think of a lot of nonprofits here in town that they're paid by fundraisers, membership dues, things of that sort. And a lot of those businesses weren't able to pay this year, like chamber or churches. Yeah, anybody who's been affected by the churches are eligible. For-profit businesses, it's 3.75%, which is still pretty cheap money to keep your business afloat. All the eligible expenses are payroll for your employees, healthcare expenses, rent, utilities, any PPE you bought because of COVID. You had to buy masks, you had to buy sanitizer, you had to put in a UV filter on your HVAC. It covers all that kind of stuff, and you can restructure short-term debt, which is really good. So if you have a high-interest credit card and you want to refinance it, it's a good time to do it with those funds. So you have to go directly through the Small Business Administration to do that, but those are probably the biggest programs that came out during COVID. The state of Indiana got some money from the CARES Act, and they have a $30 million pool right now for what's called the Indiana Small Business Restart Grant. So this is Governor Holcomb's money, flows through the Indiana Economic Development Corp, the state's kind of economic development agency. You can go on their website and apply. It's just like the other two programs. You just have to show that you've been impacted by COVID, so you have to upload your profit and loss statement for your business to show what it was before COVID, what it is now, your tax returns, just the expenses that you had. It's a reimbursement grant, but it's a grant, not a loan. You just have to show you had expenditures on payroll. I mean, everybody has this for the business because they use QuickBooks or a payroll processing company. You just have to show all those receipts. Likewise, much like the disaster loan program, any of your personal protective equipment you bought for COVID, signage that you had to buy to keep, masks are required for my business, all that kind of stuff qualifies. And it was originally a $10,000 grant. Then it was a $20,000 grant about this time last year. And spring of this year, they moved it to $50,000 per business. Now it's $100,000 per business. So anybody who's applied already can go back and get the difference up to $100,000. So most people most organizations have either gotten 20 or 25 or 50, not at 100. If you have not applied, you can apply on the website today through mid-November, but it is a grant program from the state of Indiana. It's CARES Act money that the state has to spend by the end of next year, September. So really good program. I mean, it's really helped a lot of Hoosier business. I know a lot of minority-owned businesses have taken advantage of it. Because I know we've sent a lot of them to the state portal to apply. But anybody can do that now. If you Google Indiana Small Business Restart Grant, it'll come up.
Thank you for that information. Taxes. If you're a new business and you haven't had any real revenues, do you report on taxes now? Because the taxes don't cover any expenses you have, right?
Not necessarily, yeah. I mean, if you don't have revenue yet, you're obviously not going to be paying any taxes, but you may have a tax gain off of that from taxes you could write off, so to speak. And that's between you and your tax preparer, or if you use H&R Block, or if you use an accountant. We recommend you talk to them to figure out the best way to maximize your tax liability regardless. It's one thing we do through the Indiana Small Business Development Center is we have a network of people within our network that some of them have tax backgrounds or accounting backgrounds, and we provide free help to evaluate what their finances look like and what your tax liability might be. Most of the time, we're going to ask people to talk to the Indiana Department of Revenue or the IRS because they have small business resource centers at both agencies to answer those questions for people so they know what it is. So, like I said, a lot of small business, when you're starting up and you don't have revenue yet, obviously you don't have a tax issue yet. But when you start making revenue, at a certain point, those taxes are going to start to build up, and there's different kinds of taxes. There's payroll tax, there's sales tax. Sales tax is a big one for people during COVID because who am I paying my sales tax to? Now, if you're doing it if you're selling just in Indiana, you owe tax in Indiana. Well, if you're selling in other states, you might owe sales tax in another state too. So your responsibility is on you as the individual to do those kind of things. So we try to work with the agencies, and they have webinars and workshops and people in their customer service centers for the small business areas for State Department of Revenue and the IRS. That's what they do. They want you to call and ask those questions because they want you to do it right. Okay.
What are the steps to starting? Just briefly, I know that they're involved, but give us the short list of steps to start a small business and be successful.
Sure. I mean, yeah, really, that's what we do here. We put people through a process of asking them a lot of questions. We have a small business resource guide that walks you through some of the elements of a business plan and some of the steps to actually formalize the business if you're ready for it. What we usually try to do is give them a business plan template. We provide those for free through the Small Business Development Center or SCORE, the other group here in town that does a lot of small business outreach, our sister agency. They also do the same thing. So we ask you to kind of walk through there and answer a lot of questions that you need to be thinking about. And if you're ready to formalize, the process is pretty easy. The Indiana Secretary of State's office is where you incorporate your business. You just need to decide what type of legal entity you want to be. Is it a corporation? Is it a limited liability corporation, a sole proprietorship? And we can tell you what the pros and cons are of that. Because usually it's mostly about your tax status and liability. But we want you to be legit, as we say. So you go there and do a name search for what you want to call your business, whatever name you want to choose. Just make sure somebody didn't already have it. That's already in your business area. If they say yes, go, then you fill out online. It's about $95. You fill out about maybe 20 minutes worth of questions you got to answer. It's usually who's the business owner, where are they located, who do I contact, for information. And then you click yes, and it tells you, hey, you're incorporated. It usually takes about 24 hours. So State of Indiana does a pretty good job there getting it set up. And then at that point, you go get your tax ID from the Indiana Department of Revenue, or I'm sorry, the Internal Revenue Service. So once you have your tax ID, then you can go get a checking account, a business checking account at the bank, and then you're free to roll. If you have employees, there's a portal called InBiz. The State of Indiana uses. Google InBiz. You can do all of that stuff through that website, including the incorporation with the Secretary of State. And then it asks you questions, but do you have employees? Okay, if you don't have employees, you're done. You move on. If you have employees that you're going to start out with, it tells you about withholding taxes, all the things you can do, and you can sign up right there, and everything goes to the state, and you're all set. It really is a pretty efficient process. We do it all the time. We walk people directly through it. We'll help them set it up through the Indiana Small Business Development Center. It's one of the services we provide for free. Okay. Well, all of our services are for free.
ITech does a lot of great things. It's lot of people don't know that our community college does do. So
Yeah.
so you know, Ivy Tech has always been a friend of the NAACP. You know, thank you for your involvement.
Yeah.
Now, I have some statistics I took off the internet. 124,551 businesses are minority owned in this country. 28.5% of them are in the healthcare and social assistance sector, which is the highest of any minority group. Also, I wanted to bring out Dr. Audrey Mccluskey. She's a retired professor from the School of Diaspora, which is looks at African Americans after they come, you know, out of Africa. You know, how are we doing now? So she's done a lot of things, and one of the things she's brought up was what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that was called the Black Wall Street. And it was so very successful, and for it to what happened there was somewhat of a mystery, but it was racial. It was some racial tones. It was racism, and it was just a massacre. It was just people were killed, and a lot of times African Americans, we feel like we're not able to have minority businesses in our own neighborhoods, and I don't know what has happened. Are we fearful, or are people not taking a chance on us, or what? But looking at these numbers here, 124,551 businesses in this country, and I don't know how many businesses. I mean, I'm sure it's probably big small businesses. Maybe that number is not too bad, but so African Americans, I think, we're hesitant to form businesses. So yeah. Do you have any advice for minorities that go into businesses? What would you tell them if you want your business to be successful?
Well, we work with more than 500,000 businesses in the state of Indiana. I think it's closer to 600,000 are existing today, and we probably deal with 5,000 a year through the Small Business Development Center network and Ivy Tech and our partners. Probably a quarter of those are in the minority category, which actually is a pretty good number because if you think of the population we serve and where we are in Indiana, in Bloomington, we have a significant number of Black residents. The counties around us, not so many. So our clientele kind of follows our population makeup, if you will. But we've been more than double that because we have partners in the community like Mr. Thomas, who's on our board of trustees, who he brings minority-based entrepreneurs to us who want to get something started. Yeah,
Okay.
Carvin Thomas.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
Carvin. So Carvin is one of our Oklahoma community champions. That's what we have lacked as I think as a network for a long time is champions in the Black community want to bring people to us because there's distrust of government, period, that we found, and people don't feel like, oh gosh, I don't want to work with them because they're the government. I've had a bad experience. So, but we are here to serve anybody who comes in the door, and we want to serve our minority businesses. So we've been kind of more purposeful to say, hey, Carvin, can you connect us to some people that you're working with and mentoring? And he's got, I think he brought us a dozen clients last year, early this year, to mentor and help them with their business ideas. Some of them were nonprofit ideas, some of them were for-profit ideas, some already had the business going, and we're just trying to make it more legitimate. Some of them were trying to grow the business they had, and some of them were just still kicking the tires. Yeah. So we can meet those clients anywhere in that spectrum and put them through our process. Really, it's just trying to help them figure out where they want to go and how fast they want to do it, and then connecting to all the resources that we have. All of this is free, and all I got to do is call us, email us. If they want to stop by, we can meet people in person. We can do it by video chat. The whole statewide network. This is what we do, and we're here to do it every day. And we just somehow lacked that connection with some underserved communities, the Black community, the Latino community, because there's, like I said, the distrust of government. We don't consider ourselves government. We are part of a state agency, but we're really just a bunch of people here to help them answer questions and move forward. If they have the business idea, we're going to give them some transparent feedback on what we think of their idea, because if they haven't done want them to do the homework before they put their hard-earned money out there to get the business going. And sometimes they're going to do it anyway, but we want them to do it the right way. So we're here to be their partner and their champion for a long time. We don't want people just to use us one time. Come in and have a consultation, talk about what you want to do. If we have somebody who's in that business area that we can set you up as a mentor, we'll do that. We have a lot of chambers of commerce. The Indiana Black Expo, we worked with them during COVID to reach more Black businesses out across Indiana, which has worked out really, really well because they didn't know we were here. And they didn't know this organization is here to provide free help. And if it's links to funding, if it's links to free market research, getting their value for the business that they have because they're thinking about selling it, we can do those kinds of things. And then Ivy Tech has a new program called RISE. It's a 1-year certificate that basically walks you through all the elements, put the business plan together, and you walk out ready to go pitch to investors. And you get to meet everybody in the community who's there to help you from a startup standpoint to accountants, attorneys, insurance agents, anybody that you need to help you beef up that area of your knowledge source so you can be more successful as you get the business going.
Certificate program, how many hours is that?
So it's about, let's see, it's 3 times, about 15 hours, I think. I think it's 15, and you walk out with a certificate. And again, most people who come to us don't come to us for entrepreneurship, they come for culinary, but they want to do food truck. Okay, so we'll give you the business part of that. You go to culinary, you come take the business part with us, and you're ready to go. And it's a great program. It's really affordable. As you know, the tuition here at Ivy Tech's a little bit different than it is at Indiana University or Purdue. Very affordable. It's a great class because it's cohort based. So you go in with 18 of your other friends and neighbors, and you all have a different business idea. You kind of play off each other, and you get to meet everybody in the community that can help the business. And if you decide to go forward, you have this entrepreneurship center and the small business development center to help continue that journey. Or if you decide, man, it was a pretty bad idea, maybe I'll need to think about it for a while and I'm better off working for somebody else. Well, you've been trained on how a business owner thinks, particularly a small business owner. So you're valuable to that entity now. They're going to want to interview you. They're going to want to bring you aboard because you think like they do. I always use the example of, now you know why you want me to use the cheap paper clips, not the most expensive ones on the shelf. Okay, because you don't necessarily need the most expensive ones when your business is still growing, and every cent is important. So we think that's a great training program for the state of Indiana and a huge boon to the workforce. Because if somebody does want to start their business, great. They may not want to do it now because it's not right, but maybe in 5 years they say, hey, now I'm ready to do it. I've thought about this and I've come back, but I learned early on and I'm valuable to that employer right now, and they're looking for people. Everybody's looking for people right now. The issues of most businesses I'm dealing with, are I can't get enough of my supply chain figured out because everything I order is on the delay, or the cost is going up in a major way. The other thing is they can't find people. And that's at least 80% of businesses I deal with. Right.
So it is a good thing in this country to be a small business owner.
Absolutely. There's never been a better time to start a business. It's not hard to do. It's hard to make the business work. It's hard to understand all the things you need to know as a business owner. But that's what we're here to do, is hold your hand, give you a lot of feedback, and connect you to the right partners to make your chance of success that much more easy. And there's a lot of Black businesses in Bloomington, Indiana that are doing that right now, and they're doing just fine. And again, they're all trying to make it work. And whether it's a side hustle or their full-time thing, we want to help them along that journey and keep them going.
Okay. And one last, you say you're working with Indiana Black Expo. Have you been to their new site? They have new gigs.
I haven't, my colleagues have.
Okay.
Yeah, because they work with them directly through the pandemic with some CARES Act funding to support some programming they did.
Okay.
Yep.
And you got.
I hear it's cool though.
Well, it seems to be. They had some issues there at the beginning. Getting used to the neighborhood, but now they've ironed everything out. I think they're doing well.
That's good.
And is there anything particular that you want to say that they're doing with you all here at Ivy Tech?
Yeah, a lot of the work that we did was a series of webinars and workshops online that business owners could take advantage of, particularly designed towards the Black community. Here's the topic areas that the Black Expo has been hearing from their constituents. Hey, our entrepreneurs want to hear about this. They want to learn about money. They want to know where do I find money? What grant programs are out there? How do I find market research for my business that I didn't realize was there, and I did these free reports for us. Absolutely, that's what we do. So we brought in subject matter experts to talk about those programs, or
Teaching mode.
mostly in teaching mode, but it also brought people to know who we are as an organization. So now they know there's a group here that they get free services from, and man, there's lots of other stuff that we offer. We have some programs through the Small Business Development Center Network to help with your first hire. So if you have never hired somebody before, you don't have a clue how to approach it, the state has hired a consulting firm to work with about 120 Indiana-based businesses to help them with that, what I'll call first hire. So that's everything from, what do you want the position description to be? What are they going to do all day long? We'll help you put that together. If you're going to do a search, you're going to go out there and try to recruit them through Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever medium you're going to try to find to recruit people. They'll help you with the recruitment search. They'll help you with the interview process. We'll sit down with you and help you do the interview, prepare for it, and execute the interview. And then if you're ready to do an offer, they'll help with some information. This is all free. This is something we hadn't done until about a year ago, and boy, has it been popular, particularly during the pandemic. Because it's hard to find people, period, let alone try to find them during a time when everybody's kind of scattered and not in front of you every day long in general. But we've got multiple programs available that people can take advantage of. I could list them all off, but you only have so much time here. But if you go to the isbdc.org, so Indiana Small Business Development Center, isbdc.org, all these programs are on there. There's some drop downs on the website. You can apply for assistance in any one of those. And there are 10 regional centers for the Small Business Development Center Network to service you. We have over 60 advisors and staff statewide, including about 4 or 5 here in Bloomington, our region. And my region goes from Bloomington all the way down to Jasper. So I've got 10 counties that I serve in my service territory, and my ID Tech service territory is kind of the same. We're all pretty much hosted by universities or colleges, with the exception of the Evansville region, which is hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. But again, this is your tax dollars working for you. You should take advantage of it. We're here to provide free help for everybody that wants to start a business. And then if you're in business and you're growing fast and you have lots of questions, but you don't know what you don't know, we're here to help with that. And if you're 18 months in and you're burned through all your cash because the customers didn't come in because of COVID or for whatever, I need to right the ship. What do I do? We can help work on some strategies to see if we can help, figure out how to make it stay.
All right. Mr. Bryant, thank you for participating in this interview for the state NAACP conference. It's going to be used in the labor and industry workshop. And I've already informed President Margaret Bowling Williams that we're going to do it this way. She's excited.
Great.
And she has asked that you be included in the Zoom meeting in October. And just in case they have further questions, but I should thank you for this thorough interview. And look forward to seeing you during the Zoom meeting in October for the conference convention. Thanks a lot. And again, we thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. We're looking forward to being part of it and supporting all the network. So,
All right. Hello.
All right. We're back. We're back live now. You just looked at the video that Mr. Bryant and I had. My son recorded everything, so we had a good time doing that. And as we said, that was a very thorough interview that we had with Mr. Bryant. He told you that Ivy Tech is it's a free resource that you can consult with them. And at this time, we will entertain any questions. Mr. Bryant will entertain any questions that you might have. Let me look at my chat here first, Mr. Bryant, and see what we have. I see that you have the Ivy Tech Entrepreneurial Program. You have the website here, and you also have the Indiana Black Expo Small Business Resiliency Series. Is there anything you want to say about that? Do you know anything about that you want to share with us, or should they just go to the link?
Yeah, well, I think what I was trying to do as people were listening to the video recording is, as I mentioned, an important program or resource. I was trying to throw the important resource link to their website into the chat. So there's 6 or 7 that I posted in there from the state's Indiana Restart Grant, Small Business Restart Grant, the state InBiz, State of Indiana's portal for starting a new business, and as you just mentioned, the Black Expo's Minority Small Business Resiliency series. So I think I mentioned in there we had done a series of video recorded workshops with some subject matter experts on, different topics that entrepreneurs in the minority community might want to learn about before, they get started on their business journey. So those things are all listed in there. You should be able to get to all of those resources pretty much 24/7 online, as long as you got a connection. If not, get to the library real quick. And if we can help you out at Ivy Tech, not every campus at Ivy Tech statewide has an entrepreneurship center program, a live program on campus, but most of the courses are online as well. So if you can take the course remote, Ivy Tech has designed it so you could take it online as well.
Okay. If Mr. Carrington is listening, is there, you said you would provide me a link to Facebook in case there were some questions on that media. Okay. I see his photo up there, but I don't see, he hasn't posted anything in my chat. So we'll just kind of keep going here. I looked at the conference on Facebook when Deb was giving her education summit. I just looked at it on Facebook. So I know we might have some people just looking at it there rather than coming on to our particular Zoom meeting. So we talked about, one of the things I talked to you about, given this is the NAACP, and, given that, there was a statistic that I brought out, 28.5% of the small businesses that African Americans have are in the healthcare line of work. I wonder, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that statistic. My mother was a healthcare worker. She ran a clinic, in fact. And but I did not know that we had as many African Americans working in that field. And I was wondering, one of the things you said was that many of our, that we have a lot of African Americans, even in our Bloomington community, they have small businesses. Now, do they have storefronts, or are they running them from their homes? And, to run a storefront, it costs quite a bit. And, it's, that rent to actually run your business out of there is quite high. How are people running their businesses now? Are they doing it like market, the money market, like Amway type thing, or how are they doing it?
Yeah, I think it's a little of all of those. I mean, you certainly have people that have, for instance, retail, restaurant, food and beverage businesses, hospitality, where, they're normally used to foot traffic coming in the door, particularly before COVID. And then as COVID hit, obviously that wasn't able to happen for a period of time. And it certainly was able to happen in many communities because of the COVID spread. There were restrictions by the health department and the state and others that restricted the number of people who could come in on a regular basis, and people are still scared sometimes to go out. So most of those businesses had to pivot quite a bit to get online, to find your customers through online means, or be able to pay through the website and do pickup and delivery, things of that sort. That's what most businesses have been able to do over the last year. One of the things that we did through the Small Business Development Center network, Ivy Tech, in partnership with Indiana University, at least locally, is, we had a Kelly School professor at IU reach out and say, hey, we've got a bunch of students here who are graduate level. They're smart techie, masters of science and information science in the Kelly School. And boy, they've all lost their internships, and jobs offers have been delayed because of COVID as it hit late, kind of this time last year, or late or mid last year. And is there anything they could do for small businesses? And I said, well, what kind of projects can they do? I said, well, these are people who could build websites. They could, help with social media platforms. They can help with pay solutions through a site. They can do research on different platforms for small businesses and help them learn how to use the tools and onboard them so that they can then move forward with some degree of knowledge. And we just started kind of doing it informally because the students were motivated. They were all stuck at home, or they were, somewhere in the United States or even beyond. And, we talked to the Indiana Small Business Development Center about it. We had done about 40 projects, mostly around Monroe County. And we were getting amazing feedback from these businesses saying, oh my gosh, you've helped me so much because I wouldn't have known how to do this. My revenue's been cut because my customers aren't coming in the door. I don't have the funds to hire a designer for a website, or I didn't know what pay solution to use to put into my website so people can buy from me. And then the state of Indiana, through the Small Business Development Center, put in a couple of $100,000 and said, well, let's take this statewide. And what started in May of 2020 to date has now been 550 projects statewide. I think in over 65 counties. More than 60% of the businesses we've helped are women-owned. I think a quarter of them are minority-owned. In all industries, you can imagine a lot of retail, a lot of food and beverage, but manufacturing has all of a sudden come on heavy because manufacturing companies have been hit hard with the pandemic, mostly now because of supply chain delays and cost issues. We have had healthcare, technology businesses, a lot of independent contractors, people, handymen who work for themselves, and they're just trying to figure out how to get to their customers. So our advisors statewide and the student teams at the Kelly School, and you've had over 100 students work on this over the last year. It has been the most impactful program I've ever seen. To be able to do 550 projects since May of last year, and now it's November 6th. And we didn't have a plan for that before COVID, and we just kind of made it happen. And these students did an awesome job. We did a good job of advertising it. We tried to get the word out through social media, through the channels like the Indiana Black Expo. We partnered with them so people knew about the program, and we got other minorities who came in and took advantage of the tools and the resources. So that's kind of what we're all about is, what can we think of as a team to help small businesses and entrepreneurs be successful? And we were all in this together over the last year, as you're well aware, to do anything we can. And and just a simple call from a Kelly School professor that knew of us and say, hey, how can we keep these students busy? Do you have links to small businesses? Well, yeah, we work with 5,000 small businesses a year across the state with about 70 advisors from the SBDC network statewide. And that's everywhere from Gary down to Evansville to Louisville area, Fort Wayne, and everything in between. So we've got that coverage, as an organization. So if you go to that isbdc.org site, you can learn about the other programs we have. We call that program HOPE, HOPE, the program working with students on the websites. And we're doing, those projects. I think we're booked through the end of this year, but we'll probably have some starting in January, have some slots open as the students get back to school. But that's what we do. We pivot and try to find solutions to the problems that Indiana small businesses have. And, the minority community needs to know we're here. We want them to reach out and be part of the network and understand what we have and take advantage of it.
I had heard that the service industry is the way to go with any small business, service industry. Now service industry, that could be anything. I mean, what kind of services are we talking about? Even the auto business is a service industry, and it's providing cars, because you need to drive. But, I started hearing that during the time when the auto industry was floundering. That's when I heard. So, the way to go now is any kind of service that you can perform for people. That's where the money's at. So that's where you can, have the best chance of earning an income that, that you can live off of if you have to. So did you hear anything like that, or did I just miss? Is that something that, do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, we more than half of our clientele are service-based businesses, and as you mentioned, that includes food and beverage services, hospitality businesses, professional services, law firms, construction. I mean, people who are doing services for others. That's the bread and butter of what we do. It's not just product companies and manufacturers, that we deal with throughout the year. So a lot of our programs are built to help anybody who's in the service business learn about the different, market research tools we have, help with business plan, if they're experiencing cash flow issues, what resources are out there for me. And again, a lot of times we're just connecting to our partners, in the lending community, the banks or credit unions. They're the ones that usually most people go to for some financial assistance. There's micro lending platforms in Indiana like Bankable. Some of the CDFIs, community development financial institutions, have been a little bit more visible during COVID because some of the fiscal stimulus money from the Fed went through community development financial institutions. There's 4 or 5 in Indiana that are fairly recognizable. Now you're starting to see some funds being set up for minority businesses and minority entrepreneurs and startups that are set up through the Community Navigator program is a new one through the Small Business Administration. They just provided 2 awards, one in Terre Haute, one in Fort Wayne, for community navigators to be hired to reach out to those underserved communities, the minority, the LGBTQ community, the Latinx community, to provide, again, more boots on the ground to tell people, hey, we're out here. If you are a home-based business and would never hear about us, maybe we show up at the Boys and Girls Club, here in Bloomington, for instance, and that's where you find out about what we do. So you have people on the ground that might be more visible. They might be showing up at Ivy Tech and networking with us and saying, hey, do you have any students you're working with who are from the minority community that might, want to come out and learn more about some of the things we're doing or take advantage of some of these programs. So we're trying to cover as much ground as we can, but we also don't always do a good job of marketing ourselves and knowing what's going on. So kudos to you and all the NAACP chapters for allowing us to be part of this today and tell you a little bit more about what we are doing and try to create a little more engagement.
We thank you for being here. What your small businesses that you work with, are they making enough money to live off of? And I guess that's my one of my questions is that. And I know during COVID, there were plenty of grants. But in a situation where there's not a COVID, how does, I've been into many small businesses and, my wife is into, embroidery and quilting and stuff like that. And we've gone to some mom and pop places and they're beautiful. And I wonder, how do they stay open? Because, they're not, I don't see a lot of business in here, scrapbooking places. And then this one, I think we're in the DC area and we were there. She likes to visit these places. And so we go and there, a lot of them were closed, not in operation, so that is, the prospects of owning your own business is great. But if you don't have any business, that is a tough thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really our whole reason for being, is just sitting down. And I think I mentioned in the video, putting you through a process. We ask you a whole bunch of questions you may not be thinking about in order to understand what your goals are. What is the end goal? That's kind of what I like to start with a lot of people who want to start something. What do you want this to be? Do you just want some side money and you're going to keep your full-time job with your insurance and your 401k, or are you really ready to jump off and take the leap? The entrepreneur's dilemma, we call it. And then we can help them look through, that business plan, add the market research in there, so we understand who your customers might be. Are there enough of them out there to know you'll be profitable? We can use some of our tools, our financial tools, to put together a forecast, what you think your budget might be, and again, expected cash flow, things like that. And then if you're already in business, we can then look at what you have and say, okay, you got this much amount of money coming in, you got this much going out. If it's positive, okay, maybe we can help you maximize that. If it's negative, maybe we can help you think through some solutions to save you some money so you can become profitable sooner than later. Because what we don't want you to do is get out there with grand expectations and realize you don't have the market you thought you had. You don't have enough customers here in the base to find you. And, like I said, 18 months in, the bank's not going to give you any more money if you haven't brought in revenue to pay off your loan, or,
Right.
if you have a line of credit. So, we don't recommend people use credit cards to start their businesses, but man, a lot of them do, because that's easy money to get. Unfortunately, it's also comes at a high interest rate. Some of the micro lending platforms out there for startups and riskier businesses, those are really strong assets for an entrepreneur to get started. You may pay a couple of interest points higher than your normal commercial loan, but if they feel comfortable banking you, no pun intended, early on, that's what it takes to get it going. If you can't borrow from friends and family, that's what you got to do. My ideal client is somebody who's already has customers and honestly has a supportive spouse or partner, with insurance, so they can kind of, get out there and really do it the right way and not have to worry about at least, putting food on the table every night and paying a light bill, so they can really move forward with some comfort and do it the right way. Those are easy clients for us to help because they've already found the secret sauce. They've already found people willing to pay for it, whatever that service or product is. And, the rest of us, some are sometimes trying to figure that out. We have a great idea that we think everybody buys into, and you realize, well, they weren't really interested. They kind of gave you lip service, and now you've invested 10K into it and you're not getting your return out, and you're probably going back to work for somebody else. So
Right.
Unfortunately, we have to have those difficult conversations with our clientele, saying, sometimes the right thing to do is close it, and move on and do something different. Maybe it didn't work out, and maybe it didn't work out for a lot of reasons, and not all yours. I mean, who would have saw COVID coming, 2 years ago? Think about the storefront businesses when a major construction project goes on in front of them, and it just for 6 months, you're going to have nobody wandering in the door, What do you do?
69 project.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I 69 or
Going through
any.
Martinsville, they had to, yeah.
Yep, they're experiencing it right now. Absolutely. Anybody going up 37 on the next, I don't know if you've driven up 37 lately. I just did last week, and I don't recognize anything. Everything's been scraped along the highway all the way up to 465. I don't even know where the businesses are. The trees are gone. The overpasses are not there
I didn't know you
anymore.
could get through there. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you can. Yeah, you've got to connect further up, but
Okay.
yeah, but going forward over the next 2 years, that's where all the action's going to be. And if you're a business over there right now, you're probably thinking the same thing I am. What am I going to do to get to my customers, or how are they going to get to me? So you've just got to be always thinking, hey, what could impact my business on a daily basis? And unfortunately, it's what keeps entrepreneurs up until, all hours of the night, trying to think about how to make payroll and, pay the bills and service their customers.
Right. I was projecting it takes, most, if you have a family, you probably need to make at least 50,000 at some point, 49, 50,000 at some point. So I mean, if you're going to run your own business and it's going to pay the bills for your family, you probably need to be making it 49,000 anyway. So, owning your own business seems like a wonderful thing. Particularly, I guess if I wanted to, I would want to have a business where I'm doing something that I love to do, and I hope that somebody likes what we're doing, and so we can, sell the product, whatever we're doing. But that whatever like scrapbooking, that's what my wife, she likes that. We were in Las Vegas over the fall break, and we went to a scrapbooking place she found, and it was really nice, but we were the only ones in there. So I mean, really beautiful place, but we're the only ones in there. So,
yeah, I'd be curious to know how much business do they do online versus people walking in the door.
But I tell you, but it's the way the store looks is really nice.
Yeah,
there's some nice stuff in there, and so maybe it could be an off day that day, but that would concern me. And I've been to some stores around here, and I wonder, how do you stay open? So between grants and like you said, if somebody in your family can, you have another money source, that helps. And so,
yeah, I think having that family support and, is really, really important, because and there's been many books written on this, the struggle of an entrepreneur is a lonely, dark place, unless, and your family's in the business with you, whether you like it or not. So, if that's your jumping off point and you're not working for Cook, or Lilly or Postal Service anymore, and that nice, safe, convenient payroll and benefits and healthcare and every day, you're on your own, when you're starting your business, but it can be empowering. It does motivate people to really do things the right way.
Yeah.
And we always say, rely on your partners. Again, your family, your family and faith first. Those are really important to set your business off on the right direction.
Right.
And then, your partners are your attorney, your lawyer, your banker, your insurance agent. These are the people that are the professionals that know how to help you along the way. And, none of us are mostly bankers. When we start a business, we may not even know how to, balance a checking account in a really nominal way. Who knows anything about insurance? I sure don't. But I know to contact my agent when I need help, and those are the ones that you need to be relying on. And those are the ones I always say, for your attorney, your accountant, those are the ones you want to pay the big bucks to keep you on the right path. Always look at your banker as your partner. They should be asking you questions about your business all the time, not just giving you a checking account and a credit card and, giving you a loan once in a while. They need to be helping you understand, hey, what's going on out in the business community as well, because they're out there with multiple clients, in different types of businesses, and they can be saying, hey, I'm hearing from some of your peers out there that here's an issue that's coming for your industry. Are you aware of this? And I've seen that happen many times, and the banker really helped them. So look at your lenders as your partner, not just as a person that gives you the loan and is the one asking you to pay once a month. They really should be your partner along the way.
Yeah.
And we explain that in our entrepreneurship classes at Ivy Tech, because we'll bring attorneys and bankers and all of those people in to talk. And then, even through the Small Business Development Center, one of the top things we do is we refer to those kinds of professionals so you can get the expertise you need, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not a banker. I know a little bit about all of those things, but I also know enough to say, I know when I don't know something, and I'm going to get the right people on board.
Yeah, I agree. Having that family support, knowing when at some point you got to know when it's not working out, right? At some point you got to know it's not working out. And so you got to, I guess you'll have to, whether you liquidate it or, you have to, you have to let it go and maybe do a restart or something. And it's good to come in, you said, with knowing who your clients will be, who your market. You already know your market's already established, so it's good to have that. So if you got that family support, and if at what point when you're not making enough money, when you're going to have to bow out, so you have cut your losses, make them to minimize them. Then that's when. So that's the takeaways I get from this. Maybe somebody will give you $1,000, give you a few more months. But if it's not going well, unless you know something that we don't, it's probably not going to work out. But yeah. I do like the idea of owning a small business. I really like it. But I think it's safe, safer for, well, I don't want to discourage anybody. If you want a small business, go for it, But I found that, working for somebody has been a blessing.
Yeah. And most people work for small businesses. The definition of a small business by the federal government terms is under 500 employees. Those are big small businesses, a lot of those, but a lot of us are going to work for a small business, whether we like it or not. We're all not going to work for a big hospital system, or we're not going to work for a big manufacturer,
right.
And, if it's a 10 to 20 person company that you're working with, and you're the human resource person or the salesperson or, production, whatever it may be, you're part of a small business as an employee, and you got a responsibility to the employer and to your customers to make sure you do things the right way. And I think that's what we're trying to teach, not just through Ivy Tech in the classes we offer, but, for the small businesses that we counsel, is that, hey, you're going to hire some people, and you want to hire the ones that understand you're a small business. And
right.
I use the joke all the time about the not using the expensive paper clips, but that's true. When you're first starting the business, you're borrowing paper clips from friends. You're trying to squeeze every dime out of everything you're doing, and you should be, so that you get to profitability as fast as you can, so that you can then do good things in the community. You can sponsor Boys and Girls Club and baseball teams and dance teams and Riley Children's Hospital, things of that sort. So you want to give back, and that's a big part of being an entrepreneur is giving back to the community, and you should be expected to do that as you go forward. because people need help. I mean, we got issues of homelessness and addiction and, other things. And, where are those dollars going to come from? Well, government's not going to fund those every day. It's the small business community who's going to make sure that, resources are brought to help people get better, or find the right path. And, sometimes they may never find the right path and there's not much you can do, but at least you're trying.
Yeah. And one last question before we wrap up. A lot of the small businesses, if they have employee issues, whatever the employee issues might be, I know that most small businesses do not have a way to deal with that. And that is a real concern, I bet.
Yeah.
I don't
it
know
is.
for sure, but that is a real concern. So if I'm a small business operating with a big small business, say, and I've got some employees, I want to hire people that I feel I can trust. And so sometimes, if you're a minority, you're not trusted. So I don't feel comfortable. I don't know how my other employees are going to, get along with you. And then I got this headache and, and I don't have any way of dealing with it. What do you suggest, Steve?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are resources out there. I mean, workshops and training programs to help on small business human resource issues, because you got to think, if you're under 10 employees, you probably don't have the budget to hire a human resource manager. You're just figuring out as the business owner, how to do what you need to get done. But there are, the Society of Human Resource Managers, which is a professional society for human resource professionals. They have all kinds of training programs. The Small Business Administration has some training programs on its website, sba.gov, in the human resource area, and employees and benefits. I think a lot of that stuff's out there. It's just kind of, not getting lost in Google and trying to figure it all out and trying to get to the right places as fast as you can. And, some of our small business development center advisors have backgrounds in human resources, so they might be able to offer some advice and counsel as well, and help people, solve problems they have.
And let me just throw out the resources that I know the city of Bloomington has at the county level, like the Human Rights Council, both county and city. And so a small business could probably go there and get some help. So
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, we have reached the 2 p.m. plateau here. And I want to thank you, Steve, again, for coming out, taking time out of your busy schedule to bless the NAACP, the First of Monroe County branch, and also the state conference, which is run by President Barbara Bowling Williams. So we thank you for coming out. We thank you for answering all our questions. Thank you for taking time with me to have that video. You took time out. It's always been a pleasure working with you. I've known Steve a long time. He's worked with my wife a long time. And so this is my inaugural webinar. So, you kicked it off. So
You did a great job, Bill.
Yeah, thank you. We might have to call, we probably will call on you again. And I might specialize in an area.
Okay, absolutely.
I might be talking to you again because I like the resource. You have something to do with labor and industry. So
Yes, sir.
Again, thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. And on behalf of Ivy Tech and the Small Business Development Center Network, we're looking forward to working with you going forward.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Have a great rest of the day.
You too. All right. Mr. Carrington, are you here or do I?
Yes, sir. I will take care of it for you all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your
Thank you.
service.